friends, happy Wednesday. If you're watching before 11, remember we have morning meeting today. Today is our Motivational Wednesday. A little bit we're going to meet my friend Mike Rocks. He's an actor, he's a producer, he's an improviser, writer, all around great and amazing person. Can't wait for you to meet him. I met Mike through a community I'm a part of, Impro LA, and I started taking classes last year through Impro Theater. They're located here in LA. I love working with them. I've learned so much. I've met so many great people through them, like Mike, who you're gonna meet in a little bit. Also, another thing, I'm going to start sending out emails every Thursday. Used to do it Friday, but I'm going to do it every Thursday. That will always include your character creation work and your Tuesday to week classes. We'll look for that email tomorrow night. But before we go meet Mike, let's do some moving and grooving. It's our Motivation Wednesday where we focus on self-care, self-empowerment, learning how to be the amazing people we are, and celebrating who we are.
Here you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Come along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come that news talking this and that. Probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Come along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down,
You're not gonna stop?
bring me down.
Alright guys, great warm up, great song. Guys, I really, like I said, I love to play songs that make me feel good, especially on a Motivational Wednesday. So, let's go up to my porch and talk to my friend Mike. He's a really great guy. I'm sure you're gonna think he's just as wonderful as I do when you hear what he had to share for us, with us. So, let's go meet Mike, okay? Hello everyone, I'm back on my porch. That was a great warm up with you guys. I want to welcome to my home my good friend Mike Rock. How are you, Mike?
Ooh, hi, Diana. It's so exciting to be here. Thank you.
Well,
Doing good. It's been a really busy day. Everybody, I should tell your class that I was late to your porch because it's been such a busy day for me, and I'm so glad that I was still able to come and have this luxurious view with these pillows.
Hey!
Pillows are kind of small when you reach them like that. They're a little bit-
Only the best for my friends. So, Mike, well, what were you doing today before we get into the interview? Because what were you doing today? So that you would so busy?
So my partner made a movie. She's made a couple short films in the past, but she made a short film recently. So this morning we were doing a lot of businessy, paperworky kind of stuff for that. And also with impro theater, I do a lot of managerial or administrative type of tasks, as well as faculty and performing type of stuff. And so today there was we had a few of us who are more on the administrative side of things had a meeting that just it gets into just all kinds of like what's going on presently, what are we trying to do in the future, and sometimes our conversations can go on for a minute. So today there was a lot of that.
And off the record, we're on the record. Please tell your partner, and I always pronounce her name wrong, but tell her I think she's absolutely amazing, and I saw her on Heartbeat, and I was like on the floor.
Oh my gosh. She does that crazy character that sometimes is smoking 2 cigarettes at the same time.
Oh my, no, totally though. And I would love to have her on too, but I mean, please tell her tonight or when you see her later.
Yeah.
Diana, even if Jordan thinks she's absolutely amazing.
I will.
And wonderful.
I will, and I'll try. I think I can take credit for the prop cigarettes,
Yeah.
and then I have to give credit to Michelle Spears from Impro, who gave me those prop cigarettes from. Michelle Spears directs plays at Harvard Westlake High School. They did a production of Guys and Dolls a couple years ago.
Right.
And in Guys and Dolls, there's all this smoking and drinking and playing cards and all this stuff. And Michelle had these extra cigarettes, and we were just talking. I can't remember what show we were doing at Impro, but we were talking, and I said, "Oh, it'd be fun to have a fake cigarette." And she looked at me. She said, I have a lot of fake cigarettes.
Oh my gosh. So guys, Michelle Impro, so this is how I know my kids. Last year I started taking classes at this wonderful place called Impro, and I've had a lot of my friends from Impro that have conversations because I think they're so amazing, and Mike is one of those people. So Mike, I would like to start out with, how would you describe yourself? If you were giving a 30-minute pitch about what you do. And we're on the elevator, just like about what you do. What would you say?
First of all,
long elevator ride.
First of all, for anyone who might need it or want it, I'll give an audio description.
And I'm going to ask you to do that too.
Yes, Diane Elizabeth Jordan is responsible for teaching me that doing audio descriptions before things is helpful, and I love it. I love doing it and having my guests do it on my thing. So I'm a Caucasian man of Irish descent. Irish heritage. I have salt and pepper hair, which is mostly salt. It's mostly gray right now, maybe because of the pandemic. And I'm wearing a dark blue button-down shirt with a burgundy-colored necktie, and the view on the screen is that I appear to be sitting on a beachfront deck with the ocean in the background and some nice outdoor furniture with pillows. In actuality, I'm in my apartment in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and guys, you know, it's really funny. I'm glad you did that because I usually ask my guests to, because my guys know what I look like. So, you know, because they know me well. But I'm glad you did that because I was going to, and a reminder that sometimes I forget too. So thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, Danny. I think you also wanted just a 30-second description of
I did. A 30-minute would be lovely, because I'm sure you could, but why don't we keep this one to 30 seconds, okay?
You know, actors will talk for 30 minutes about themselves.
Pontificate about yourself. No, yes, please give me your 30-second Mike Rock pitch.
So I grew up in Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, and son of a doctor and a nurse. But my mother, who was a nurse, raised seven children and segued into doing community theater. So I grew up as a actor, as a community theater actor. In college, I was pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor for a minute. I thought I was going to be a doctor, but I did some comedy acting, some improvisational acting, and then got hooked. And then that became my career. I moved to New York City with a group of people, and we did comedy in New York for several years. And then, but now it's almost been 12, 14 years, I moved to Los Angeles to continue my acting and comedy career. So I have done some television shows. I've done a lot of live comedy theater, and our theater company, which is called Impro, IMPRO Theater Los Angeles, we do full length, completely improvised plays. And we do those in some of the big theaters in Los Angeles, like the Pasadena Playhouse and the Broad Stage. And we do these plays in the styles of famous authors like Shakespeare and Jane Austen and that sort of thing. I also do voiceovers for television and film and commercials and that sort of thing. So that's sort of the encompassing of my world.
What could you say in college was very specific because you started in pre-med, and I always love these questions. I always love what was the moment. Was there a particular moment? Because for some people it was like, yeah, I did this thing. Because going from pre-med to being an actor is like, what a
You're asking.
what a bit of a transition. So was there a particular, and also like you said, your dad was a doctor, so following, was there a moment where it was like, yeah, was it a series or was there like a specific show or performance that made you say, yeah, this is what I want to do?
It sounds like Diana is asking me what my fall from grace was.
Oh, not, believe me, if I had to ask you that, I don't know, my occupational therapy to theater, so you know.
Yeah. Well, when I got to high school, I became very serious about academics, and I thought that high school meant, this is so funny to say this now, looking back,
Right.
when you're older, anyone who's younger out there, you start to look back at things that you thought and you realize, oh man, that was ridiculous. But
Right.
when I got to high school, I thought, okay, you guys, this is serious. And I have to study really hard. And I did. And so I kind of abandoned my acting that I loved to do as a kid. I kind of abandoned it for a couple of years in high school. And then my senior year in high school, I did one musical. I did West Side Story. And when I did that, I thought, oh, wait a minute. I am an actor. That's what I want to do. And then somehow over the course of the summer after high school, that all went away. That thought of like, oh, I'm an actor. That's what I should do. That all went away. And I went back to feeling like I had to be serious. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to be pre-med, which means I'm going to take chemistry and physics and all the science classes and that sort of thing and prepare for medical school. But about 3 years into college, I suddenly saw that there was a play and they were having auditions. And a friend of mine who I worked with at this restaurant said, you've done some acting. Are you going to audition for this play? And I said, yeah, I think I am. And I got this tiny, tiny, tiny one-line part. And during that play, during the rehearsals for that play, when I was a junior in college, someone came to a rehearsal who had been a student at University of Wisconsin and said, hi, I used to be an acting student here. How's it going? And we were like, oh, we're in the middle of rehearsal. And he said, I'm starting this comedy show that's going to be improvisational comedy. And this was before Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Right.
So a lot of us didn't even really know what it meant when they said improv comedy or improvisational comedy. And I went to the audition for that. And the day after the audition, they said, "Oh, we want you in our show." And that's when it started. It's kind of, I was a junior in college. I was finishing my prerequisite classes. I was majoring in psychology and finishing my prerequisite classes for medical school. And this thing happened with this show. And I said, "Oh man, this is really great." And we started performing about 4 months, 4 or 5 months later, something like that. We started doing shows in front of the public. And within a few weeks, I thought to myself, "Oh boy, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing." And I was in a graduate level psychology class about decision making. And I said and the professor offered, there are these, in decision making psychology, there are these major schools of thought. How did Napoleon decide to, go into what became Waterloo? How did, these gigantic decisions from history are sort of the material that decision making psychologists talk about a lot, and economists and things like that. And he offered that for your final paper, you could either analyze this historic decision from, 5th century, whatever, or you could analyze this decision, or you could do your own project. And I asked permission if I could analyze the decision of what to do with my career.
Wow.
And the professor said, "Yes, of course, do it." And I had to do it in the framework of a decision making model, like a one that exists, sort of like if you want to figure out some question in math, you have to put it through the Pythagorean theorem, or you have to put it through some other mathematical model. I put it through this analysis, and I showed it to him, and he gave me an A on the paper. And he said, you should be an actor. That's what you should follow that. You've made this decision. You've made it clear how you want it to go. That's what you should do."
Oh, I love, like I said, I just love, because I think we all come to this craft from many different paths, and I always love what makes someone decide, this is what I want to do. So, how did you get from Madison to, you went to New York, right? What was that?
Yeah. So we were a very popular theater improv show in Madison, and we were doing like 6 or 7 performances a week, and we were being hired by, businesses to do their holiday parties, and we were hired by dorm rooms, dorm buildings to do performances at their dorm, whatever semester party, and that sort of thing. And there were about 20 people in our company, but there was a group of about 6 or 7 of us. I say 6 or 7 because it kind of fluctuated, who were really excited about what's next for our career. And not that everybody else wasn't excited about their career. It's just that there was this smaller group of us that were really like, we'd stay up very late at night talking about our futures and that sort of thing. And over the course of about a year, 6 of us all moved to New York City. And I got permission to start a branch of that comedy show that we were doing in New York. It was there's this improv form that was started by Keith Johnstone and his Loose Moose Theater Company in Canada, and it was called Theater Sports, and that's traveled around the world, and there are theater sports branches all over the world doing improv. And my group in Madison was the Madison, Wisconsin Theater Sports branch. Wow. But the guy who started our show in Wisconsin kind of broke ranks. That's a polite way to say it. Broke ranks with Keith Johnstone, and he changed the name of his show, which was what I was doing. He changed it to this thing called Comedy Sports, and he made some minor changes to how the show goes
Right.
and made it into its own separate business. Now that's a bone of contention for decades with, the theater sports folks. And so I can't deny where I came from, because that's where I came from.
Right.
But so when we moved to New York, my friends and I did improv under the name of Comedy Sports for a few years, and then we broke off and started writing our own comedy, and so we became a sketch comedy group, and did things on MTV and Comedy Central and stuff like that as a sketch comedy group, kind of like Monty Python or
Right,
Kids in the
right,
Hall, that sort of
right,
thing,
right.
Mad TV, and then we were loving it. We were having a great time, and we did like the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland, and Montreal Just for Laughs Festival, and all that sort of thing. And then after a few years, like our opportunities sort of kind of dwindled, and we looked at each other and said, well, maybe we've reached the end of the road on our group. And that's when one guy moved away to Los Angeles right away, and another guy moved to Virginia, Delaware, Washington, D.C. area, became a journalist. And so we all kind of like scattered to the winds. And I stayed in New York for a couple of years and did a lot of television commercials, and
Right.
did a little bit of theater, took a lot of acting classes. And then in the mid 2000s, I got a job in Los Angeles, a voiceover job. And so I moved here, and that's kind of that. So then when I left New York and came to Los Angeles, I was like, for the first time in, a very long time, I was a solo, independent, a performer person. I was no longer associated with any sort of a group.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a hard transition to make, from spending many, many years not only being part of a group, but being the boss, like being, not the boss isn't the right word, being the artistic like figurehead or whatever.
Right. Right.
It was a hard transition.
What do you think? Because I talked a lot to my guys. We talked about a lot about resiliency, especially this last year. And so, what do you think helped you get into that transition? And when you go through those tough times, as we've been through, what do you think helped you get through from one step to? What do you rely on?
I think that's a great question, Diana. I think that a big part of it for me is how fortunate I was to be born into a family that were interested in what I do, and supportive of what I do, and that sort of thing. And parents all along the way who were, they never questioned, my parents never said to me like, are you sure you want to try to do acting, and that sort of thing. And having good friends, like a good social network of friends and family is, in my case, is what kind of kept me afloat. Not necessarily that I relied on people, like not necessarily that I was always calling people on the telephone or seeing people all the time. Just, I think a big part of resiliency is understanding that you have people who believe in you and support you, whether you fully acknowledge it or not.
Right.
Most of us have, almost depending on how much we're willing to lean on people, we have somebody,
Right.
Some people are blessed with many, many, many people who are actively involved in their life all the time, and they just know that they're there. Other people, it's further distant people. It's people who you don't necessarily realize that you can rely on them until you actually reach out. There's that old it's, I can't remember if it's like a cartoon or if you would consider it a modern parable, but there's the man on the roof of his house. Water is coming into his house, and the water's coming in, and he climbs up to the second floor, and the water comes up to the second floor, and he climbs up to the roof, and he's on the roof, and somebody goes by in a boat, and
Right.
says, "Hey, can we help?" And he says, "Like, no, 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 God's going to help me."
Right. Right.
And then a helicopter comes by, and they say, "Can we help you?" And he says, "No, no, no, God's going to help me." And then finally, he meets God, and God says, "I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter." So I think resiliency has to do with our own personal acknowledgement that help is available.
Right.
And in my case, when I first came to LA, I had all these people who I knew, who I'd known for years, some a little bit and some pretty well, who were already here kind of doing their thing. And I was pretty reluctant to really reach out to people.
Mhm.
And it really took some social events, like being invited by happenstance, being invited to a birthday party, or being invited to see somebody's show or something like that, and then running into people and thinking to myself, "Oh, I don't have to stay home and sit on the couch all the time.
Right.
I know people here. I have people I can reach out to." Um, and resiliency it's really a dynamic system. It's not a certainly, I'm not taking away from the fact that some people build resiliency when they are isolated and alone and just
Right.
have to look inward, and with prayer, with meditation, with exercise, all these other things. But I do believe that resiliency is a dynamic system where you look to what you have, what resources you have, in inner resources and around you,
Right.
and you allow yourself the humility to take steps to take care of yourself, the humility to go out and take a walk, the humility to open a window and breathe fresh air, the humility to eat healthful food,
Right.
to call a friend, to email somebody, that sort of thing. It's a tough. It's very tough to um, acknowledge sometimes that we can't go it alone.
I agree. I totally agree. Sometimes I think it's defining what alone means. I mean, I don't. And I think I realized a lot this year too. I may not have a romantic partner, but I'm not alone. I mean, I think those are people who have partners awesome, but I think there's a thing where if you don't, you're completely. And I think there's a difference between being alone and lonely and by myself. So I may not have that someone to come home to or here to say, I love you, I have this great life. And I think that's part of recognizing resiliency too, is like recognizing your gifts that you do have, because I think people focus a lot, especially in this career, on what we don't have. I'm not on the series, I'm not this. So I would, how do you define success? Because you've worked in TV, you've done a lot. You do a lot. You produced a show I was on that you weren't a part of, so you produced. So, how do you find success? And it seems like you also support other people and they're manifesting what they want. So, how do you find success? And why is it also important for you to create opportunities for other people? Because you created, inviting me to be on the sitcom, created a wonderful opportunity for me, which I thank you so much for. So, how do you find that? How do you define success, and what is your goal in opening that up for other people through teaching, producing, and the other things that you do?
I think that's a great question. And by the way, thank you for doing 90. We had these two shows for your students to understand. We had these two shows on the Impro Theater online streaming channel,
Right.
that were co-directed by Tatiana Godfrey and Marianne Sufu. And one on Friday nights it was 90s sitcom, which was ridiculous and hilarious. And on Saturdays it was Black Magic School, so it was sort of like Harry Potter. It was like um, Tatiana and Marianne described it as an the all black Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter for black people.
Yeah. Um, oh my gosh, those were so fun, and I assume that Marianne and Tati will want to bring those back someday, but we're on hiatus right now with those. Anyway, thank you for doing it, Diana.
Oh, it was so much fun.
You were
I
this
loved
authority figure in, I can't remember which performance it was, but you were this like person. I don't, were you like sort of like a counselor or a
it.
therapist?
Yeah, there was one where it's funny when I do improv, it goes, I remember, and then I
Yeah,
like
it goes,
totally forget it because
yeah,
I'm
it goes
like
on.
in the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I did do a couple of I think I love to do that type of authority characters because I have so much issues with conflict in my real life. It's so much easier
Uh,
to do.
yes, you're not alone in that. Um, yeah, so Diana was like bridging the gap, like trying to negotiate between two different, trying to like play both sides of this argument and trying to make people keep people happy. It was really wonderful. Anyway, but that wasn't your question. I think success is finding a sense of fulfillment in doing something that you enjoy doing. So, um, I enjoy eating tacos, but it's eating tacos is not going to pay the bills,
Right,
and it gives me nourishment and it gives me a sense of fullness,
right,
but it doesn't give me fulfillment.
right,
Uh, Finding a sense of fulfillment and in doing something that you love, for me, means if I love the sense of satisfaction of watching a brand new Toyota Prius come off the assembly line,
right,
and I was the person who put in the instrument panel or something like that, and I enjoy the challenge of each different car comes down the assembly line and I put in the instrument panel, and if I enjoy doing that work and I'm paid and I like the people that are around me in the factory, and I have a sense of pride when the new Toyota Prius comes off the assembly line, then for me that is success.
right,
If I am an actor and I, audition a lot, but I really don't feel good about auditioning, or if I get the occasional job on television or the occasional job on film or something, and I sort of do it, but I want a bigger job. I want to be, if I sort of do it in a grumpy way because
right,
then I'm not getting fulfillment. And
right,
if I'm not getting fulfillment, as that's not success to me.
right,
You know, Success is this weird. Um, it's sort of like an amorphous blob in a lot of ways,
right.
because we all know examples. I mean, I assume many of us know examples of people who quote unquote appear to have everything.
Oh, great, right,
People who are wealthy, or have a big house or have a big family, or have they own a business or something like that. We all have examples of these people who are not happy. So they are not feeling fulfilled. So therefore, they do not meet my standard of success, right? Um, for me, I think that you can have a sense of fulfillment parallel with ambition, parallel with vision, parallel with being goal directed.
right,
You can say to yourself, I am I'm this comes down to sort of a Zen, a Buddhism kind of point of
right,
view of being happy in the present moment. All I have is this present moment, and I choose to be happy in this present moment.
right,
So if I get an audition for a TV show, even if I don't really love the role that I'm being asked to audition for, if I say to myself, well, this is an opportunity for me to do this thing I love doing, which is acting.
right,
Okay, it's only going to last 30 seconds, but I'm going to have 30 seconds where I get to do this thing I love to do, which is acting. And then I'm going to send that to a person who's going to, look at it and decide if they like it or not, et cetera, et cetera. So success is feeling a sense of fulfillment, doing what you love to do, and enjoying rewards, whether they're internal or external rewards along the way. I know that for me, yeah, there have been times in my life when most of my, income, most of my rent was being paid, most of my, all my expenses were being taken care of by the job that I had at that moment. So there were times in my life when I can say, absolutely 100%, I am a working actor or a working artist, making a living, making a sustainable living doing what I love to do. And then there have been times in my life when I haven't been working very much and I haven't been making money doing what I love to do. That doesn't mean that I'm not successful. It simply means that at that present moment, the business balance sheet wasn't sort of in favor of my art supporting my sustaining myself.
Right.
So that's why I kind of make that distinction, because the raw fact is, you can be, I mean, there's only so much room for people who you recognize, as a movie star or a TV star or something like that. There's only really so much room for that kind of success. So for creative people, actors, writers, directors, producers, artists, dancers, musicians, singers, etc. For creative people, we all have to have if we're smart, we have to have a realistic understanding of this definition of success. And if your definition of success is not in hand with your sense of self-fulfillment, self-worth, then you need to re-examine your definition of success. Because if your definition of success is money, and then you get the money, and then you don't feel fulfillment, are you successful?
Exactly. I love that, and I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. I have two more questions because this has been great. One, what is the biggest lesson you've learned this past year about yourself?
That I can't do it alone.
Okay, cool. I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna end, and then we'll go to your favorite blackout song. I love to pick a word from my jar of words here, and I love you people because every other Wednesday we do a lot of motivational phrases. So I'm gonna pick a word and let you just say what you feel about that word, kind of like a little quote from Mike Rock. So let me get my jar of words here.
There's a jar of words, you guys.
I have a jar of words. There is a piece of paper here too. I go all out for my jar of words. Let me see. Alright, enjoyment. You were just say about enjoyment, because I talk a lot about self-care. So what would you say about enjoyment? If you were to pick anything about enjoying life, enjoyment, what would you say? Enjoy or enjoyment?
I would say being with people that you care about and who care for you is enjoyment.
Okay. Cool. I love that. Thank you so much. I've been saying this to a lot of people as part of the improv community. I've never met her. Because I just got totally vaxxed. I passed my 2-week period a couple weeks ago, or last Wednesday rather, and I think about this improv community that I've been a part of, and I thought, I've never wanted to hug so many people I've never met before, and I feel and Maddie and Ripley, and it's just this amazing thing when you talk about enjoyment. I felt so welcomed by this improv community of people who literally, Michelle and guys I have not been in the same physical space with, but yet I feel I have the news of the pandemic friendships, and I thank you, my friend, for coming on and sharing your beautiful words of wisdom with my guys, and just thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Diana, for having me. We are all at Impro so excited that you are part of our community, and so thankful that you're part of our community.
Cool. Thank you. Well, listen, I always end and begin my classes the same way. But Mike, what is that song that you love to rock out to?
I think the song "Beautiful Day" by U2 is a great one to rock out to.
Perfect. And that's so perfect for a day like today on my porch. Alright, guys. Thank you, Mike. Guys, I will see you tomorrow on my Thursday class. Love and miss you guys. Mike, you're amazing.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, class, for watching, being part of it.
And the reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck.
I don't want to date myself, but the first time I saw U2 live in concert was in 1982.
Oh my gosh, we're not sitting here. How old I was. I didn't want to say how old I was in 1982.